Everyone. I'll just introduce myself briefly. My name's Neville Ward. I work for Micro Focus as a solution consultant, and I specialize in all things ITSM. So my presentation today is really going to start thinking about transformation from a generational aspect as well. So when we embark on our transformation programs and all that good stuff, are we thinking about how we would want it ourselves? And I must profess now, I am not Generation Y, and I'll tell you the age range for Generation Y in a minute. But really thinking about our transformational journey and actually building out solutions that exceed and meet the expectations of a newer generation coming through. You know, as I say, I admit I've got a lot of grey hair, but I do live with a number of people in my house which are Generation Y and Generation Z. So thinking about how they're going to interact and what sort of service desk experience they would like when they kind of enter the workforce, or people that are already in the workforce. I'm also going to kind of ask the question, you know, is it time for a ticketless service desk? Will we ever get to a ticketless service desk? So that's what I'm going to take you through this afternoon. So, so first of all, let me just go there. Who is Generation Y? So Generation Y are people born between 1980 and 1994. And some of the characteristics of that generation are very tech savvy, have really grown up in a digital world, so they are very much digital natives. And for them, it's all about being mobile and being able to interact from wherever you are, on the go, within the office, etc. So bearing these characteristics in mind, they are also open generally to lots of new ideas. There's been a lot of innovation during this period. Very much not afraid to challenge the status quo. So the way that we've done things in the past isn't, you know, is that the right way? Should we be exploring different ways to achieve that now? Very much all around collaboration, and you know, we've seen over the last decade or so, you know, collaboration tools, your Instagrams, your WhatsApp, and very much used to collaborating and collaborating digitally as well. Information is so readily available to them now that, you know, it's not like going out and buying a newspaper anymore. You know, they can just go to the smartphone or your laptop or your iPad, and that information is there for you. Not only that you need to go and get your information is being presented to you. Very much multitaskers, so you know, we'll kick off something, we'll start something and go and do something else. Again, that's really being driven by, you know, the digital revolution and being able to do that. Very much like recognition, you know, how many stars, you know, how many likes have you got to your post? So very much driven by that. So thinking about how, you know, how we can use things like maybe gamification techniques as well. And they always want more, so not willing to, you know, to settle for what they've got. As I say, challenge the status quo, come up with new ideas, and really drive, you know, improvements and how we want to and how we should interact with them. So bearing those characteristics in mind, I'm thinking about some of the service desks that we are providing today. No, I'm being very generalistic now. You know, they're not all old service desks, but you know, typically we have over the years provided multi-channel, be it by phone. Portals have been around for a long time. Apps have again been around for quite a long time, relatively speaking. Email and social media, and I'm not saying those channels will actually go away, but maybe the emphasis on some of those channels will slightly change. I mean, I have two teenage daughters in the house. I can't envisage them using the phone to contact someone in the future. I mean, we're in the same house and they would text me. so I can't, imagine them using phones. So I think, there will be a shift towards some of those more portal usage, more app usage, and social media. I also think historically, when we've looked to build out service desks and service management tools, the people that have done that, and we understand the reasons why, have really built to support themselves. And so what do I mean by that? So IT support, building and designing the maybe the portal, the way the users interact to suit what they need, the information they need. And yes, that's important, but actually trying to focus a bit more on what the customer wants. Does the customer really want to provide lots of different information? What's the priority? What's the category? Shouldn't we, as the IT people, know that already? So really trying to think about building from that perspective. Knowledge has been important. Knowledge has been in service management tools and service desks, since the year dot. But often this can be very siloed. We may have multiple knowledge sources, and again, for maybe good reasons. Often the service desks are reactive and less proactive. Again, I've seen a shift in this over the years, that people are trying to become more active with pushing information out, and it's always going to be an ongoing journey to be able to do that. The other thing that I think we have focused on a lot in the past, and again I see this changing, is the focus on KPIs and metrics, and not necessarily what I would call actionable insights. There's a lot of noise, as in the industry, about XLAs, experience level agreements, and I think this is all about the shift from a KPI is very useful, it will tell you something, but is that really giving you enough to improve the experience of your customers coming into your service desks? So a lot of focus on KPIs, but I think we should start shifting slightly away from that. So what may a generation Y service desk look like? Above all, the digital experience. I know this is quite an overused term at the moment, digital transformation, digital experience, but it's really got to be built around that as a core. So the ways that you can interact, yes, we will still need a way to interact via the phone, via email, but more and more traffic is going to be put on the app, being put on the portal. So making sure that we are designing those channels not only to be simple, but usable, but efficient, and encouraging the people to actually use those. Collaboration at the heart. So being able to collaborate with your colleagues. It's not always about collaborating with the service desk centrally, but being able to share your experiences and your knowledge locally. Now, I guess pre-pandemic, we were all doing a lot of that. When we were sitting in the office, I would sit next to my colleague. If I had a particular issue, I might ask him a question. How do I do that? How do I do that? So we've always been good at collaborating, but we often haven't been that great at sharing that collaboration and making and exposing it to other people. So really having, a collaboration engine at the heart of that, but using the data from that collaboration engine as well, learning as we go along. Centered around knowledge. I'll talk more about knowledge and some of these points in a couple more slides. Personalised and contextual. So what is, if I go into my app, my service desk app, I want them to know something about me. I want to be presented with some information. If there's if there's an outage or news that's relevant to my location or the services that I consume, I want that presented to me. I want to know what my colleagues are experiencing. So being able to personalize that information and have it presented contextually as well is very important. And I come back to this point as well. So how are we learning from the data that we have within our systems to improve those as we go forward? So I think if we can start to address some of those, we can really start to, start addressing generations Y, Generation Z, etc. going forward. So just going into those in a little bit more detail, first of all, the digital experience, customer centric, and drive a customer experience. So again, I mentioned earlier about, we've designed things in the past to suit us. We need to design them with the customer. So, making sure the customer is not just consuming your transformation project, but is involved in that. How many clicks, will it take, or how many, scroll up and downs will it take to actually log a ticket? Do we actually need all that information, or can technology support us a lot more? And actually, all we need to provide is a screenshot of the error message that we're getting, and the technology takes over from there. Personalised and contextual, I've talked about that. Must be outcome driven. What do I mean by that? So I've seen portals and I've seen apps which we throw lots of different functionality in there. You can do this, you can do that, you can do that, and I think sometimes they can be really cluttered. So really understanding the outcomes that you want to achieve from your app, from your portal. What are the key things that your customers need to do on that, and having that in mind, rather than maybe throwing a lot of data out there which will never be consumed, and maybe can actually confuse people as well. Must be smart and add value. If it's not adding value, the customers won't go there. So again, all in the design, all in the context, all in the personalization. Easy to enroll. Within your portal, a quick link to download it on your smartphone, etc., is really important, because you want to encourage people to actually do that. So making it easy for them to actually enroll, get on that, and start using that. And constantly evolving. If we look back at portals have been around in service management solutions for years and years and years. How much have they actually evolved? Is it still the same questions that we're asking? We're starting to add more technology into our portals, like bots, and I'll talk about that in a second. But are we really rethinking the way that we capture that information? As I said earlier, can we just ask for a screenshot? Is that all we need to actually process that? So thinking of how we evolve those, and they're going to evolve even more as we go forward. So collaborating with our social knowledge management, crowdsourcing of knowledge. As I mentioned earlier, there's we collaborate a lot. We collaborate a lot in the office. We collaborate a lot on collaboration tools like Teams, etc. How are we actually harvesting that knowledge? Yes, we have very structured knowledge management processes often, but we should really be looking at that unstructured knowledge as well. What are people asking each other? What is that telling us? If they don't know how to do something, they might be collaborating on that, asking their colleagues. It would be great if we could know that and we could address that. We could be more proactive in maybe sending communication out, creating different offerings or different knowledge articles. So, crowdsourcing of knowledge and using that peer-to-peer knowledge to really empower that, and really all about connecting those people through collaboration, but really more around how we're consuming that. So knowledge consumption, as I said earlier, knowledge has been around for a long time. We've had knowledge databases, we've had portals. For me, it's about getting them. It's easy to get knowledge in. It's relatively easy to publish knowledge, but it's all about the consumption of that. How easy do we make it for our users to find the knowledge? Do we ask them to categorize things? Are you looking for knowledge around PCs or network, etc.? Are we putting them off by asking too many questions, by filtering and categorizing? We should be really using structured and unstructured techniques to actually go search that knowledge within that database. Not necessarily rely on tagging, but rely on the technologies that are out there within the marketplace these days that could go in, find any knowledge articles that you're looking for, look for those keywords, and present what is relevant and based on how other people have consumed that knowledge as well. So, looking at the structured, unstructured data, and also being assisted by bots, by chat bots, by, we're in the world of Alexa and Siri now. So being able to interact with in those ways to pull back the knowledge that you need. How do you know if you're missing knowledge? Good question. You could say you're getting more calls on your service desk around that particular issue. So very much, data-driven knowledge. So using, machine learning techniques to understand all your tickets, being able to be more proactive, identify the trends, the missing gaps in knowledge. What do we actually need, and how do we want those knowledge articles to be consumed? Personalised and contextual. The rise of the AI and bots. AI and bots are great if used in the right way. Not just be presented by the bot straight away. And those bots, need to be powered by natural language understanding, and the system should be able to self-learn as well. So if I go in and search for a particular, or I go and ask a particular question, it must learn, and then I find the answer that I want. It needs to learn from that, become cleverer, so the next person coming in will make all those connections. So bots are really important. They need to understand the data that you have out there, and they need to understand me as an individual as well. So consumption of structured and unstructured data, again, that's very important for me. I look at service management tools over the years. We've been very good at capturing lots of data. Often that's in a very structured way. We might have a categorization, all sorts of different fields that we're capturing. But I think the most important information we're capturing is actually a description of the issue or the problem, the incident itself, and the resolution. So how we actually harvest and use that information is really important. Real-time insight, suggested actions. So using the bots to have that conversation, learn, but also bring you those suggested actions based on that interaction that you're having. And very much driven by machine learning. A lot of talk in the industry about machine learning, and you're seeing that coming more into the solutions. And it's not just a case of having machine learning, it's having the right machine learning to support the right outcomes and the right use cases as you go forward. So I just want to really talk a little bit more about what we think of as actionable insight. So I've mentioned this a few times. So actionable insight for us is about the consumption of data, and structured and unstructured data. As I said, having being able to create a report of the number of incidents against network is great. You're relying very much on your operators to categorize that correctly, and assuming that the problem reflects the category. That's useful. That will give you some information, but may not give you the whole or full picture. So being able to harvest your unstructured data, understanding the description, looking for those keywords, looking for those, it may be a device in there, it may be a service in there that you haven't categorized or you haven't tagged against that particular service. So really looking at the consumption of that. The next element of actionable insight is real-time insight and actions. So being able to consume that data, as I say, in real time, and rather than just giving you a nice report, and I'm sure you've seen lots of examples of heat maps, and we need to look in that area, or we need to look in that area. But taking that a step further and saying, yes, there's a big area over here we're getting a lot of particular issues around our the Wi-Fi in our offices, etc. We need to, we might need to investigate that. So that's great. That's given me an insight. It's great if I can get that in real time rather than a kind of report after the event. But using the data to actually suggest things. So how could we improve? Example we always talk about is kind of change management. We're getting a lot of failures around a particular service in change. Why? Getting the system to help you, give you those insights, saying actually if you focus on improving your implementation plans, then you could see an X% increase. So it's about the real-time information, but actually giving you suggested actions as well, how to improve. Very much driven by machine learning, being able to take that data, interpret that, do pattern matching, all the techniques that are involved in machine learning, very, very important. And once we started to do that, we can maybe go to the next step as well, dynamic suggested automation opportunities. So what do I mean by that? As we learn and we see the types of tickets coming in, we start to get insights from them. We understand these tickets, and often, if we want to apply automation to a ticket, certain things are relatively easy to do. If you've got a request for something coming in, you can automate the fulfillment of that. But we want to take it to the next stage to say, let's understand the issues, the incidents coming in as well, identify them, and identify where we can automatically apply remediation. So teaching the system to understand these types of errors and how to remediate those. So not just about fulfilling, but really remediating based on the information that's been provided within the ticket and how we've then interpreted it and we've learned from it as we go forward. So there's, when I talk about actionable insights, they're very much the things I talk about. So really just going to finish off now. In summary, obviously you put your users at the heart of your solution, and actually regardless of the generation. Like I say, I've got a lot of grey hair, but I still have requirements. Maybe I like to phone people and have a chat. So have them at the centre, users at the centre, but think about the next generations coming through as well. Embrace the technology that's out there. I talk a lot about machine learning and AI. This exists within our service management solutions today. So embrace that. How are we using that? But think about what outcomes you want to achieve. Evolve at pace. I mean, if we've learned nothing from the last number of months and the last year, is the ability we do have to evolve at pace. So we've got to a certain point, we don't stop, we continue on that journey, but we continue on that journey at pace. And I guess Ticketless Service Desk, will we ever have one? Maybe not in my lifetime, but the more that we are able to become more reactive, we understand what's going on in the environments, we're able to resolve things before they come along, the better we get at change management, i.e. we don't break things. Yeah, it's probably something we could get to, but as I say, probably not in my lifetime. So that's all I had to say today. So if anyone would like to reach out to me, that's my email address, neville@microfocus.com. You'd also find me on LinkedIn, Neville Ward as well. You'll find me on there. Would love to hear from you on your views around different generations and requirements of different generations coming forward. So that's me. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, Neville.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the intro and the opportunity to speak with everyone today. It's truly exciting to be able to have a global platform in a virtual sense, even though we can't have physical virtual events. I think there's been great benefit in having a global digital platform. Wanted to talk a little bit to everyone about shaping our future with what we call next-gen transformation. I think it goes without saying we've had a massive, massive period of huge change and in some aspects a lot of uncertainty over this last year. And the coronavirus pandemic is going to have some long, long-lasting impacts across the globe, and the benefits of that. You know, I'm a true believer that with adversity comes abundance of opportunity.